Ready?
I'm ready.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, you beautiful creatures of the internet, to one of the first editions of something we're going to try next. So basically, it's difficult AF to sit here and edit and do all these wonderful, beautiful videos. We are having a lack of internet access, among other things, is hindering us from doing what we would call normal, as well as we are pivoting to some new equipment and some new things that we want to get. We are making some shifts. So we decided to do something out of the ordinary, something that we originally wanted to do with this show from the beginning, and that is we're going to sit down, we're going to read the news, we're going to inform the uninformed with the actual truth and some opinion. We're going to do this every single Friday. We're recording it early in the morning. Eventually we'll start going live, but for now, this is probably an hour or two delayed. So we're going to jump right in it. I'm Jared, this is Devin, and here we go. So my first topic is there was undercover footage of a former FBI agent, and he talks about his involvement in, his involvement and all the other things that he knows of the Capitol January 6th riot.
Yep.
The guided tour that they had with the velvet ropes and everything else, where the police are like, oh, and that's a picture of George Washington there, and this is Nancy Pelosi's office, or at least that's what the videos look like. But basically, he admits in this to having undercover FBI and CIA agents in the crowd itself.
Yeah.
Obviously, to try and drum up some stuff and, make it look bad on the Republicans, on Trump, and different things like that. And something else, he talks a lot about Alex Jones, and specifically the lawsuit that Alex Jones was involved in this past year, where they settled for hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars in fees. And of course, he didn't have that, so immediately filed bankruptcy. They're not going to get anything because his businesses aren't worth that. There's no money to seize, among other things. I've been following that pretty closely. But anyways, he talks about how they've communicated back and forth with social medias, Twitter, now X, but before Elon Musk got it, Twitter and Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, about censoring, basically pro-Alex stories and pushing the negative Alex stories.
Right.
It's something we talked about that we knew was going on for a long freaking time. I mean, we knew that they, all the Twitter files that came out the other year when Elon Musk took over and he brought the kitchen sink into the building. I mean, we knew all this stuff. I remember, I was talking to my wife, I remember when COVID was here, and I made a post, I did a post talking about masks or something like that, and Facebook sent me a message that said, hey, we have limited the view of your post because it
won't show up in people's news feed.
Yeah, and that's what it said, basically, and it was because I said something about masks.
Yep. Yeah, they've been doing that that whole time. I mean, that's really what kicked it off. But I was watching something last night that's a whole different story, but it was about the Pfizer vaccine, and it's you asked me if I had anything that I thought about. I just, but and the trial they did from 2020 to middle of 2020 to 2021, and the adverse effects it had on a 12-year-old that was directly caused by that they swept under the rug.
Yeah.
So it's not really anything that I can really get into because I only watched the one video about it.
But I mean, listen. I mean, there are plenty. First of all, overall deaths are up in almost every category, especially in the young.
Yeah.
That's true. You can't directly link it to the COVID. It's not even a vaccine. It was a trial run mRNA.
Which is, a lot of people don't even know what mRNA is, but it's manufactured DNA. It changes your DNA, and they even came out and they said that it changes your DNA, a portion of it, to where it's not supposed to be as susceptible to certain things, which just...
Well, I mean, if you believe some of the quote unquote conspiracy theories out there, you know, a lot of people believe that, and there's some quotes and stuff from different crazy billionaires and trillionaires out there in the world, but there are some people who believe that there are countries and or governments and or billionaires, philanthropists out there who are trying to figure out how to create a higher form of being, and basically wanting to speed up the normal evolutionary process of, you know, adaptation and different things like that in humans, to see, you know, because basically, you know, they've said forever, you know, that movie Limitless, where Bradley Cooper takes the pill, and all of a sudden, because we can only use like 3% or 10% of our actual brain's capacity, it's like this supercomputer, and he takes the pill, and now all of a sudden he can use like the full amount of his brain, and he's super smart and figures stuff out.
Oddly enough, that's one of my favorite movies.
I've never even seen it.
Really?
Yeah, and I've always heard it was a good movie, and I wanted to see it,
and
but
the
I've seen
series is
snippets
good, too.
of it, you know, so I know enough about it. But I mean, you know, there are this idea that there's people out there that are trying their best to increase the human
Their
mind, and trying to make a higher form of, you know, human beings. And
I think that that's why the big push for AI is right now, to be honest with you. I think that when it comes to that, I mean, obviously, with AI, everybody's using it, and you know, and it's great for, you know, things.
We've used it.
Yeah, we've used it. You know, it's great for those things.
Yeah.
And I'm not so much talking about that as much as I am. Well, and it could be that as well. But as much as I am about the like writing stories, like doing this and that, because it really it takes one person or one type of person, and it relays back what they're doing, what their likeliness to do something else is, that kind of thing. So it's a learning.
Well, but I mean, you got to think about, there's a human being who's creating these AI programs. So whatever they're going to create, it's it's going to be very hard not to have some kind of bias in that.
Right.
So I mean, you know, you're going to be using an AI system that is basically, you know, biased in the way that they think, whether that be for the right or the left. And it just so happens that almost every single thing out there is the left. You know, they control technology for whatever reason nowadays.
For whatever reason, because they have the money to.
Well, but I mean, you have plenty of people.
They've been in power to.
Yeah, but you have plenty of people. I think it's a personality trait. I think you've got conservative Republicans, those type of people. They're non-interventionalists. They don't want to be out in the spotlight. They don't want to come out and talk and say things. They don't want to give their opinion. They don't want to muddy the waters. They don't want any of that. Like, they just want to stay in their lane. Hey, I've got this business. I'm worth, you know, $100 billion. I'm enjoying my life. I'm building my business. I'm building a legacy.
Yeah.
I don't want to get into all of that. Maybe they give some money to some good charities or something that'll help that. But, you know, you have these billionaires, trillionaires who are all in on that stuff. Like Bill Gates. I mean, you've got George Soros. I mean, these people are all in on what they believe. You got to give them that at least.
The two big ones that everyone knows. You know, I mean, that's.
So I mean, I just think we need more good, conservative, honest people who are willing to get out there and like stand up for what you believe. I mean, Jesus, like, go out there, build a business, you know, get your family right. I mean, I've said it for a long time now, long before I started doing any kind of videos. The best thing that you can do for your country is to make sure that you and your family are well taken care of, that your finances are in order, that your house is in order, that your marriage is as strong as it can be, that your relationship with your kids is as strong as it can be, because the family unit is what makes America what it is.
Yeah.
The family unit, period. You're raising good kids. We have, you know, married households staying together as long as possible, you know, and raising kids that way, you know. Even what was it, Hawkins, that famous, the famous atheist is like the most famous, Stephen Dawkins or Hawkins, whatever his name was. He's a British dude, old white guy. He's like one of the more famous, prominent, like atheist people out there. And he was on some show over in Britain over there, and he was talking about how basically the Muslims taking over, Islam taking over Europe and starting to take over America. He's like, that's bad. He's like, I would rather live in a Christian society. He's like, I don't believe in Christianity, but I would much rather live in a Christian society, because out of any religion out there, the Christian society is what has given us the best, freedoms, the best places to live, the society, because they say, well, you don't need religion to tell you not to commit murder. Well, go anywhere else in the world, and yeah, you kind of do. I mean, because
you have religions that tell you to commit murder.
Yeah.
Like even, I mean, when the Palestine, which I say Palestine, but the Palestine thing right now is, it is heavily religious. I mean, that's what it's all about. And
how do you feel about that? Go ahead, finish your thought.
Well,
how do you feel about what Israel's doing to Palestine? How much do you believe what's coming out from anybody other than Israel? Does Israel have free reign to just kill whoever and however many ever they want? I mean, because I have mixed feelings about it, but I don't really know. I mean, where do you get your information? Who do you believe?
Exactly, and a lot of that you can try to take back to the Bible, but I'm noticing some things that are when it comes to certain things that we think about. God said things about Israel and like stuff like this is going to happen.
Yeah.
Because I think Palestine is supposed to be Jerusalem or something like that.
They're all right there, and with everything. The thing about it is that if you look over the history, Israel has given so many different treaties to Palestine and all these other different little joints over there.
Yeah.
And when you look at Palestine in general, and you look at Hamas, and you just look at the people in there, like Israel has closed their border. Egypt has closed their border. Jordan won't take any.
Yeah.
Syria won't take it. They don't want these people, because these people have been bred and funded by
Western culture.
Well, no, I want to say one of them, Iraq, Iran. I think it's Iran. Iran's the number one state sponsor of terror over there. But I'm backed and everything by Iran, and whom we're giving money to. We've given money to both Palestine and Israel at the same time. I don't think there's a Middle Eastern country over there that needs to get any money from us. I think we need to stop sending aid everywhere until we get.
Well, how can we send aid anywhere?
Well, but think about this. Think about this. We gave $65 billion so far to Ukraine. $65 billion.
It's not more than that?
It probably. But just say it's $65 billion.
Sure.
Maybe it's $100 billion. Our deficit's like $1.2 trillion or so. Under Trump, it got as low as like mid-900 billions.
Yeah.
So think about that for a second. That's almost 10% of our deficit, basically.
Yeah.
65 billion. So if you take 65 billion or just round it up to 70, and you say I think we gave Israel $10 billion, so that's 80. We gave a couple billion to basically Hamas, but Palestine, and then you think about, we already know that we give a bunch of money to a couple of others,
right.
Saudi Arabia, Jordan, Iran, different places like that. So round up just that conflict in Ukraine and this kind of the Middle East, you could say round about $100 billion in funding basically a year. That's 10% of our deficit.
We're just going to print more money.
Yeah, but printing more money hurts.
It's
hurting.
Our taxes don't pay for all this stuff. They print money, and then they back that money with the treasury notes they buy, and then they say that the treasury bonds are what makes that money legit, and it's back in paper with paper, and it's all fake.
Yeah.
But what it really does is we have an outrageous amount of military contractors. Not we. There are companies, Raytheon,
I was thinking about
Vanguard, and why not? That
going to call
are
it Van
all
Wraithrock
Van Wraithrock.
mm-hmm.
I like that.
Street.
Street.
Van Wraithrock Street.
Sounds like a band.
Could be. What do they need me to do?
Anyways, so BlackRock owns all those companies.
Yeah.
And I know that this wasn't supposed to be our.
I mean, none of this is in the notes. We're just talking. I mean that.
Well, I mean, it connect when you really look at it. It kind of connects a bunch of this stuff, and it goes towards a narrative. And when you watch these movies and stuff, which there's the conspiracy. I think it's still a theory because I don't think there's proof, quote unquote, that the Pentagon has a Hollywood budget, but it makes sense because everything that's happening now, it really goes towards a narrative. It really goes towards a goal, and if you look at that goal and you really think about it as, this company that their goal is for world domination. It's really going towards that way. I mean, so anyways, so your next point of order.
Yeah, moving on a little bit. What about White House announces $75 billion in student debt cancellation?
I have student debt, but
not $75 billion.
I'm right, and so now I have student debt, and mine's not gonna get. I can guarantee you, mine's not gonna get canceled.
You're too white.
Exactly.
But I mean, you're pretty. You could pass for a Mexican. You could.
I could, but I've always had to check the
You're
white.
pretty dark. I don't know how long. Compared to my skin, you're a whole you're kind of like a little hint of olive in you. I mean, you could pass.
So now I have more student debt.
Yeah.
Because what pays the $75 billion? 75 or 7.5?
No, this is $75 billion. I confirmed.
Really?
Yes, $75 billion this one time. He's already canceled some debt, which was unconstitutional, and the Supreme Court said they shut down his other thing, but he went ahead and pushed some stuff through and canceled some debts. He's wanting to do this in October is when it's going to take effect. So that's right before the elections. I mean, this is just another form of election meddling is what this is.
Oh, sure.
So we got a cat. I don't know if y'all can hear that. A little cat came walking up when I was here, had the door open, and it won't leave. So we got a cat now. So ignore that.
The door shut?
No, I had it open all day. He could leave. I've had it open I've been here for 2 hours. He could leave at any point in time.
You could take the thing to the bed.
So the White House announced $75 billion in student debt cancellation, which is unconstitutional, which they do not have power to do. Student loans, one of the only debts out there that you can't file bankruptcy on because it's backed by the government, and the government's like, you're not going to screw us, but we'll allow you to screw anybody else if you want to. So you're going to go and sit here and be like, I've got my my little purple streak in the hair and stuff like that, and I'm going to go get some art minor in, social science or something like that, and so what? You can't make any money off of it. So now the government's just going to come in here and say, you know what? Go ahead. Here's your $40,000 in TCU tuition gone. Which is just it's absolute bullcrap. But
I have a real problem with that, even though I have student debt. And the reason why is because I made this stupid decision. I'm not saying anyone that goes and does college, goes through the college route, that kind of thing is stupid. I'm not saying that by any means. So
you're just not saying they're smart.
I'm just, I mean, if you go to do it because you have to have your degree, this and that, fine, I get that. You've got to have your degree, you've got to learn in it, this and that. You have to know what you obviously have to know to do your profession, and have your own certifications. But the problem I have with that is kids get out of school, and before at 18 years old, you were already a man. Back 150 years ago, 100 years ago, you were already a man. Now it's still kid. So what do? They go to college because that's what status quo says you should do. But when you look at what we've talked about before on our podcast, when you look at the fact that school was not created to make financially stable people, that it was created for the rat race people to create factory workers and such. And then you've got people that go to college and now their student loans are being forgiven. But you've got so many people that have gone to college that they had no idea what they were doing. what their major was going to be or anything like that. So they, it's just they feel that like this is what I'm supposed to do instead of, thinking for themselves and saying, you know what can I do that really, really helps lean to my strengths. So 75 billion in student debt canceled. No, I hate it. I'm 75 billion in
aid.
75 billion in aid throughout the nation. Great. 70, fine. Send our money back to us. 75 billion in canceled back taxes. Great.
Well, I remember when Obama announced the stimulus that he did. And I remember me and my dad were working at Family Auto and Tire on 29. And I was 16, 17, something like that. And I remember talking in the office with him about it. And he said back then, because none of the money was going to small businesses. Right. And there was like, I don't know, it was like $3 billion or, some $1 million or whatever at the time that was going towards researching basically pigs or some crap like that. Just a bunch of random crap that they could just like launder some money basically. Right. And I remember he made the statement back then, it's like, because we had this business where we needed things to buy. Like we could have used a new alignment machine. We could have used new racks. We could have used new equipment, new specialty tools, ball joint presses and different things that you would rent normally from these places, but you could have, a nice good set of your own. And it's like he said then, he's like, you know what, that money would go so much further if they would say, okay, any business with, 50 employees or less, go here and fill out this form, and we're going to split this. This stimulus isn't going to go to all these banks and crap, which is where it ended up going. It's going to go to the thousands and thousands of small businesses throughout America. Your small mechanic shops, your hair salons, your whatever. Get on there, basically tell them your financial situation, the different improvements you would like to make, and what you think those improvements would bring, and then you have to show the receipts for what you use the money for on your taxes at the end of the year, and they decide if you get it or not. The money would go so much further, that $75 billion, if they would inject that into small businesses who are having to increase prices, because when you're a small business, if you're a mechanic shop and you need that extra lift, You're going to spend $7,000, $8,000. You're going to get that lift regardless. And what are you going to do? You're going to have to go up on your prices. You're having to, everything's more expensive. So to keep good mechanics or shop hands, you're going to have to pay them more than what you typically would. You're going to have to treat everything differently. So take that $75 billion. Don't give it to these pompous little prick kids, who are 25, 30 years old now and have realized that they can't use their freaking fine arts degree. And give it to businesses. So that's my take on it. That's the way I feel about everything. We start and stop with small businesses, with the family, with small businesses, which is just basically an extension of the nuclear family in America, because it's the husband and wives who are getting out there and starting the business. Whether it's the husband staying home with the kids or the wife staying home with the kids. It's 2024. You do whatever you want. I don't care. But I'm just saying, this money should go to the families, to the businesses, the small businesses in America. 50 employees or less, maybe 100 employees or less, because I know that's still classified as a small business. All right, real quick, I want to talk about Ashley Biden's diary. I don't know if you heard about that. So a while back, they found a diary in a house in Florida, and a diary, a bunch of luggage, a bunch of other things, and it was Ashley Biden's. It was Joe Biden's daughter's. And in that diary, she talks about taking showers with her dad when she was 19 years old.
That's gross.
Now, first of all, it's confirmed Ashley Biden's diary.
Ooh. And
the lady who found it has been sentenced to 30 days in jail for stealing and not giving it back. She gave it to Project Veritas. The FBI, the CIA, the Secret Service, all of them looked into it. And they were all saying, oh, it's fake, it's fake, it's fake, it's fake, it's fake. Now they can't deny that because they just put the woman in jail for 30 days for stealing Ashley Biden's stuff.
How did she steal it?
They found it in some room in an Airbnb or something. It had been there for years and years and years. Somebody had bought the house, turned it into I don't know the whole entire story of that, but it's confirmed. 19 years old, having showers with dad. And she says in there, she's like, I might have been molested, I don't know. I think it's clear to say,
Yeah.
we all know, what a thing to find.
Yeah.
What a thing to come out, you know? That's why you shouldn't, like, if you write something that bad, like, you should, like, rip the page out and, like, burn it or something so nobody finds it, because, like, you know, I mean,
She might have wanted somebody to find
Jesus, that's tough.
Yeah.
That's rough stuff. And I mean, that's like, he sniffs kids, he falls downstairs, he has showers with his 19-year-old daughter. You know, his son sends nudie pictures to his Hunter Biden's niece, who was like 16 or 13 at the time. That's confirmed from his laptop. That was confirmed to be his laptop. I mean, it's just insane. I just wanted to touch on it. I mean, your face alone, not knowing it, is satisfactory enough to have brought it up, because this is confirmed. This isn't like
that's
fake crap. Now,
I didn't even know there was.
I put. We probably can't see the top part with the camera, but it's Ashley Biden's diary. FBI guy talks a little too much. We went through that. We went through White House announced the $75 billion. Last thing I want to talk about, it says World War III ? And here's the thing. The French president, Macron, basically the other week threatened, he's like, you know, hey, like, we'll send some French troops over there to Ukraine. We'll fight Russia. You know, don't mess with the French. You know. I don't know what do you think? Who's scared of that? Who's scared of the freaking French? What are you gonna do? Throw croissants at them or something? Like, I mean, it's the French, for God's sake. What are they known for apart from Napoleon? I mean, they were the first to fall back when Germany freaking took over. It's like, you know, I mean, like, y'all are nothing.
They're just a backup country.
Literally, no European country would even be a country if it wasn't for us twice. Freaking twice. I mean, come on. We should own the entirety of freaking Europe. It's insane. How nice are we to save them and be like, all right, here's your stuff back. We got it back for you. I mean, Jesus. I mean, shouldn't they be paying us some kind of reparations or like, you know, like, yeah, well, you know what? We got your stuff. You know, be real nice. Be real bad if something happened to, I don't know, London. Be real nice if that fell into, I don't know, the highest bidder's hands. So, like, how about this? Like, we'll sell it back to you.
Are you trying to sound like the mafia?
We'll owner finance. Well, back then we had the mafia was a big thing. Like,
Yeah.
we'll owner finance Spain back to you.
Yeah.
You know, for 100 years for this amount of money if you want. But no. We set up NATO. We freaking pay for everything. We pay for their protection. We're the only ones giving our actual GDP growth that we're supposed to, and above in some cases. Anyways, he threatens Russia, basically says, you know, it's not out of the question that we might send some troops over there to help fight against Russia, you know, and all this good stuff. While at the same time, this year alone, France has purchased over $600 million in natural gas from Russia. So, on the one hand, you know, don't you keep on, we're gonna fight you, and then on the other hand be like, you know, hey, you got any more of that? You got any more of that natural gas? You know, like, you know, on the side here, you know, so I don't freaking know. This crap happens all the time. I mean, Americans, what do we have? What can we do about any of this stuff? I don't know. I don't know what the answers are. The fact that we give money to both Israel and Palestine, you know, folks just need to take a look at whatever state that you're in. It starts locally, regionally, state, then it starts in national. Okay,
Yeah.
So get your mayors as least corrupt as you can possibly get. Start asking questions. Get you some FICA, some Freedom of Information Acts. You know, and figure out some stuff. We're going to do some Freedom of Information Acts here in our town. I'm going to go to the city hall and get some myself because I'm curious on some stuff, and we'll see. You know, we'll see what ends up happening with that. But look at your freaking people. I mean, folks need to look at Tommy Tuberville. I mean, in our state of Alabama, one of the top performing on the stock market, Tommy Tuberville in Alabama. You can go look it up. I mean, dude went from making nothing on the stock market to hitting like Pelosi's husband. You understand? I mean, this is insane. Dan Crenshaw's another one. You know, eye patch guy, military, Marines, you know, hoorah, all that good jazz. More than Nancy Pelosi the other year. I don't know if it was last year or the year before. More than Nancy Pelosi. Insider trading is happening on both sides. The Republicans are no better than the Democrats. Figure out who the heck you're freaking putting in office and stop putting them in office.
Yep.
Period. Because I liked Tuberville. I liked what he said. I liked how, you know, he was endorsed by Trump. He was all this blah, 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 blah. Bull crap.
He just talked a good game.
He absolutely just talked a good game. And so he'll get up on there and he'll grill, you know, Mayorkas or, you know, any of these other cats on Capitol Hill, and he'll grill them, get these like, you know, oh, well, didn't you say this and blah, blah, and, you know, we stand for this, and, you know, I'm American, and we're going to figure out, and then he turns around and goes home and checks his portfolio.
Yeah.
And that's American politics right there. They pad their pocket while they sit here and spend your money like crazy. It's all smoke and mirrors. You watch the Republicans, the best charade you'll ever see in your life. Watch the next time they get somebody from the FBI or somebody they don't like. Guess what they'll do? They'll get signs. You'll have Senator Cotton back there with a big old A 5 foot by 5 foot sign that says something, and it's all charades. They won't do nothing about it. They're like, you know, well, I mean, look at this statistic, you know, and we have this many illegals, and didn't you just say this? And then, you know, they get done, and they're like, oh, look at me, yeah, you know, hey, you know, just doing my job. You're doing nothing. You're doing absolutely nothing. None of them are, you know. So that's my take on it. World War III, I don't know. I mean, they just, our Defense Secretary just came out, was it Blinken, Anthony Blinken, whatever he is. He just came out and said that we're absolutely going to put Ukraine in NATO. I don't know how that works when Ukraine's currently at war. I heard that there was a thing that you couldn't bring a country that's in war currently in there, because that would mean that all of us would have to go to their aid, which we already are anyways.
Just that one decision would make it, yeah.
There's already British troops in Ukraine right now, like actively fighting against Russia right now. There are American troops in there, quote unquote, just, you know, counseling and teaching and training and stuff like that. Well, you got mercenaries too.
That's what I'm just saying.
But I'm talking about like
American contractors.
I'm talking about like American troops themselves there. There are CIA people there. I mean, we now know that there's like 20 CIA bases throughout Ukraine and stuff like that. I mean, you know, it is what it is. Hopefully Trump gets in there. I'm becoming more and more and more skeptical of Donald Trump. I don't want to hear that he lives his life based on revenge, but when they asked him, like, you know, are you going to go scorched earth or in there? And he's like, you know what? We're just going to succeed a lot. I don't care about revenge or whatever. No, your revenge is everybody else's justice. Because what they did to you shouldn't be allowed to happen to another president, period.
Yeah.
Those witch hunts and these looking for ghosts and stuff under his bed and going through him with a fine-tooth comb and like taking this small little grain and making it into a mountain, you know, and you know, prosecuting him and them voting to impeach him in the House and all this stuff. It shouldn't happen to another president. That's why I was huge Vivek Ramaswamy supporter, because he came out and said, you know what? You got an odd number on your social security number and you work for the government and the last number ends in an odd number, you're gone. And if that doesn't fire enough, we'll pick another number. And we're going to get this thing down to minimal. And that's exactly what our government should be. That's what our government was set up to be. There were people against the Constitution because they were scared of it making too big of a government, because of what we went through. You know, obviously we're hundreds of years from that time, but it's getting further and further and further. So that's pretty much it. That's all we got today. I think that was probably 40 minutes or so. You know, we'll get better little by little. We'll try and stay more on topic and have more stuff. Devin will try and be more learned next time. And, you know, we're going to keep doing this. So every Friday, we're going to have a show. Not going to be a whole lot of editing and stuff like that. Make it easier on us because we're busy, men. We got lives, you know, things going on. So stay tuned. Like, share, and subscribe. Comment. See you next time.
Look, every day that they see me, they like, what's up, dude? I tell them not much, but we know it's not true. Got a to-do list that every day I gotta run through. I don't wanna small talk about it, let the work talk for me. I don't tell nobody about my secrets. Keep it to myself, cause nowadays they wanna leak it. I don't even share it with my family as of recent. Not cause I don't trust them, I would rather let them see it for themselves. I got insecurities, I don't wear them on my sleeve, so you know I gotta keep them on the shelf. Like awards I don't have yet. And every second that I wasted talking about it is a second I can have back. Look, I don't wanna tell them everything I'm gonna do. I would rather show them everything that I achieved. I don't wanna tell them that I got it with no proof. I would rather show them the receipts. I find it funny how they say you got